Hello again, peoples of the internet, people who are watching this video. Thank you for watching this video. I appreciate it when you listen to me, and I want to thank you for the people who commented on my last video. Those of you who did the text comments, you brought up some great points, and I want to thank you for actually watching and commenting. I love it when people comment. I love it when people leave, even more when people leave video responses, so I can get your expressions and put a face with the words that are in your comments. I want to talk tonight about the theistic attack on naturalism. Many of you who know I do post on Craigslist in the discussion forums, and there is a particular theist whose handle on there is One Push Kick. And he has some rather anti-naturalism rants. And for those of you who don't know, naturalism is the natural world around us, as opposed to supernaturalism, which is God did it, God is magic, God, said let there be light, and poof, there was light. He makes a statement, and I want to quote him directly, so for honesty reasons. He says, where does lightning come from? Where does dark end? Where does light start? Why do birds and animals have enough to eat? Why can't science tell you where a circle starts? You are relying on science as your God. My God is out of reach from my mind. Now just let that sink in for a second. I'll read that last part. You're relying on science as your God. Now, a lot of theists have the problem of they can't picture other people the way other than the way they are. So a lot of times theists will make the assertion that you have a God, and just because it's not the God of the Bible or their particular God, then you must be worshiping something as God. He's making the reference that says, you're relying on science as your God, which is completely insane because science is the study of reality, okay? We know that water boils at 212 degrees Fahrenheit and that water freezes at 32 degrees Fahrenheit. And these are physical laws of the natural universe that just works. These are things that are tested and through the scientific method by various people. It's not a magic man who sits on a cloud invisibly and watches everything you do and writes down in his magic book when you do bad things or when you do good things. He says, my God is out of reach from my mind, which is hilarious to say, I'm worshiping this God that I can't even understand. I'm just a lowly sack of bull snot, and I can't understand my God, and that's why I worship him. I don't get that. Push, what is up with that? Woo! Okay, so there's an attack on naturalism, and I do want to read. I'm gonna read one more. Let me find it. Coas for You came back, and he said, "What do you call a circle-shaped square? Nonsensical questions do not prove the existence of a God. It only proves that you know how to play with words." And I thought he was dead on. Okay, there's one other attack on naturalism here. That's by a user who I'd never heard of before called One of the Way. Search for science, search for truth, or biased point of view. Since you all just so generation seem to like to point out science as your excuse for not believing in God. Well, first of all, let me stop there. People don't choose their beliefs that way. It's a fallacy to think, I choose not to believe in God because of science. You cannot, right now, choose what you believe. Right now, if I wanted to believe in God, I can't make a conscious, willful decision to say, I believe in God, or I believe in leprechauns, or I believe in Santa Claus. It's not within the realm of your conscious control. Okay? So when someone says your excuse for not believing, it's not a willful choice. You can influence your beliefs through the things you read, but your brain does it for you. Okay? Scary to some people, I know, but that's the way the brain works. He goes on to say, I thought this might tweak your interest slightly. I'm constantly confronted by you atheists out there in the Inland Empire of California with your science is fact and religion is faith. Are you also under the impression that scientists are infallible and only seek truth? Scientists have the scientific method, which allows one scientist to come up with a theory, come up with a test for it, and say, I predict that, when I lower this water's temperature to 31 degrees, it will freeze. Okay? If he makes this statement, if he does the test and it freezes, he publishes his information. Okay? So the next guy down the road says, well, I don't believe that the scientist A was right. I'm going to recreate his experiment, and I'm going to go lower water to the same specifications and see if water freezes at 31 degrees. And so that way, when two scientists do it, and then three scientists do it, we get this body of information that all these scientists get similar results. We can pretty much start to say, yeah, looks like that's the way things work. Okay? So, scientists are looking for truth. They are looking for reality. It's very important that they look for truth and look only for reality. I'm going to go back to one of the Way's letters here. So he quotes a person named Richard Latonin, and I will paraphrase the quote. Moreover, that materialism is absolute, for we cannot allow a divine foot in the door. This quite revealing admission about the logical question. If you're looking for, and he starts to go off the grid at this point. If you're looking for a missing hiker, you start your search. At the start of your search, you completely rule out looking on a certain mountain in that area. Since he's from California, he names a certain Mount Gregarino, San Gregarino, I don't know who it is. And the hiker in question is on Mount Gregarino, will never happen to be the side of the quest. By the same token, if you rule out the divine or design from the outset, you'll end up with these absurd, counterintuitive conclusions like macroevolution.
What?
Okay, he is basically saying that if you don't look for God, you'll never find God. God doesn't exist. Why do we say this? Because there's no evidence for God existing. When a body is found in the middle of the street, the cops don't go, oh, maybe God struck this man dead for his sins. They're not looking for God, okay? There's reasons why we don't go looking for God. One, because there's no actual evidence, empirical, peer-reviewed evidence for the positive existence of God. Any God. All gods. Okay? No evidence whatsoever. And before you jump in and say, but the Bible is evidence. No, the Bible is evidence that someone wrote a book. Just because something's written in a book doesn't mean it's true. Dr. Seuss wrote a book called The Cat in the Hat and Green Eggs and Ham. Does that mean the Cat in the Hat exists? No. It's a story. And unless you have actual, factual, scientific, peer-reviewable evidence, empirical evidence, that something exists, you don't assert that it does. He's basically trying to slam on naturalism, which is, the science of reality, which is the only other opposite, the polar opposite of naturalism is supernaturalism. Why did this water freeze when we chilled it to 31 degrees? Oh, God did it. He sent an angel to touch the water, and it froze. Ice crystals formed because God did something. But see, there's no evidence to support the existence of the God of supernaturalism. There's no evidence to support his existence. So to say that thing for which there's no evidence did this is ridiculous. It's insane. It's insane. Insane. Because we have naturalism, we have great medical advances. The computer that you're watching this on is basically the product of naturalism. They figured out what a conductor was, what a resistor, how to make a resistor, how to make the electricity flow in a certain way, how to make logic gates, how to record a video signal onto a disc. They figured all these things out through naturalism. God did not peek out from the heavens and say, "This is how you build a computer." That didn't happen. Who live in a natural world want to assert a supernatural being and then try to slam on naturalism, which is proven to exist. This is Uncle Techie. Thank you for watching.
Come back when you get some money, buddy.